You're probably wondering why you're not seeing my handsome, well-sculpted face for this video, so I'm going to lay it out straight. At the end of December, I went in for a hernia surgery. The surgery went well enough, and I recovered after the appropriate amount of time of rest. And I am, of course, lying. Immediately following that surgery, my appendix decided now was a good time to burst, causing me to have to spend 3 weeks in the hospital, which led to me being unable to get this video out on the time that I planned, which was approximately a week after the Mega Man X2 review. This is, of course, not mentioning the infection which required me to spend hundreds of dollars on antibiotics that had a side effect of knocking my ass out harder than if I called Mike Tyson a sissy. Turns out, having an organ tear open can be a little bit of a hurdle. Now, near-death experience aside, I hate to inform you that, guys, this is the end. No, I'm not quitting YouTube. I mean, this is the end of good Mega Man X games on 16-bit hardware. You see, whenever people mention bad Mega Man games, it's always X7 or Legends or some obscure WonderSwan game. But nobody thinks to bring up Mega Man X3. I mean, how could it possibly be bad? It's part of the original trilogy, after all. Well, sorry to say, but Return of the Jedi, this game is not. Mega Man X3, in a few words, is poorly balanced, terribly designed. It merely recycles the gameplay of the past two games while offering nothing remotely new or interesting either in the gameplay department or in the story. And as I said in my Mega Man 1 review, let me explain. Before we dig into the actual game, let's do a little bit of backstory. Mega Man X3 hit shelves in 1996, or at least in the States, being the final Mega Man X game on the Super NES, as well as the very first Mega Man game on the PS1 and Sega Saturn. But those versions never came out in the States, so I suppose that doesn't really matter. Really, all those versions added was anime cutscenes, load times, and I do suppose discs make better projectiles than cartridges, so it's got that going for it. Like the first two games, X3 starts with an introduction stage, and okay, fine, I have to give credit where it's due. This is a pretty good intro stage. Not on par with X1's, but definitely equal with X2. This level sorta lures you in with sick guitar riffs and some solid jumping and shooting action, right up until X is kidnapped by a guy whose sole purpose is to be killed. I actually can't remember his name, so I've been calling him Red Shirt this whole time. After X is kidnapped, we're treated to the one thing this game actually does add, which is the ability to play as Zero. Which, hey, that sounds amazing. I've been wanting to play as him since X1. I thought that would be great if they made him playable in that. I'm sorry, did I say ability earlier? I meant misfortune. Again, ever since Mega Man X1, I wanted to play as this copyright-infringing, head-and-shoulders-using, boob-light-having motherfucker. And X3 gives us the option, but sometimes it's an option better not taken. Zero is way worse than X. For one, he's a hell of a lot slower. Sorta like a big tanky bastard. Meaning, if you're doing a speed run, you won't touch him whatsoever. He also doesn't really jump as high, which is kind of important in a platformer. His charge shots do pack a lot more punch than X's, and he does have a lot more health at the start, but the amount of mobility you sacrifice for it just really is not worth it at all. It really should have been the other way around, with X being as fast as he normally is, and Zero being slightly faster. Not that it really matters, because the game takes your lightsaber-swinging husbando away if you make it too far in the level with him. Speaking of the levels, this time they are fucking annoying. Not just the regular kind of annoying, like a hemorrhoid or a paper cut. The kind of annoying that makes you chug an entire bottle of chocolate-flavored vodka, then cry into a pillow like a mighty number 9 backer on prom night. X2 had some frustrating moments, but X2 felt like it was designed to be hard. It felt intentional. X3 feels hard because of laziness and spite. And maybe somebody at Capcom really hated Mega Man fans for making them put out so many games. The game feels like it was made out of the pure desire to make Mega Man fans angry. It's like somebody at Capcom went, maybe if we make this game not good, nobody will buy it. I'm sure that tactic worked. It's like somebody at Capcom not only wanted us to suffer, but they wanted to do it by using the thing we love. The only way this could have been more intentionally spiteful is if every copy came with a free Capcom employee who would kick your dog every time you died. Now, in the original script for this review, I had a really funny bit of me dying a bunch, and there was a montage, and going all AVGN on the game, ripping out my Xbox hard drive and just taking a big messy shit all over it. It was really going to be like water and Nutella with some nuts in it. It was hysterical. MattRLive was going to come in dressed as Sigma, total gutbuster, but I won't do that. No. Now that I've had time to really think about this game, and I played through it twice just to be certain that I felt the way I did, because sometimes maybe, one playthrough isn't enough. You gotta have some sloppy seconds. So I had a little bit of time to think about my real feelings of this game, and I have decided that the only thing this game makes me feel is calm, silent rage. For example, Volt Catfish's stage. In this level, there's an optional pathway that takes you to an optional section, with an optional boss fight with Vile. Yeah, he's back. Now the keyword here is optional, you don't have to do it. But how was I supposed to know it was going to take me there? And that's not even getting to the bad part. No, I was fine with that. Optional stuff adds replay value. But the game fucks you over by sending the player back to the beginning of the stage if they complete this purely optional part of the game. Why not just send me back to the entrance? Why not have it be behind a door that leads to the correct path? Why be this intentionally spiteful? I thought Mega Man Soccer was Capcom's hate letter to Mega Man fans. So why be so mean-spirited? And the whole game is like this, with enemies that mostly serve to annoy, jumps that require leaps of faith, and bosses that take off massive chunks of your life in a single hit. In Mega Man X1 and 2, the armor upgrade was purely optional, but in X3, you need it. You absolutely need it. So make sure you grab that son of a bitch as soon as you possibly can. Unlike X1 or 2, you don't actually get anything for obtaining all of the upgrades. I suppose because in X1 and 2, the upgrades only served to be additional bonuses and not the de facto way you should be playing the game. And there's no Hadoken, there's no Shoryuken. All you get this time around is a middle finger. For all of your efforts, all of the pain and suffering of trying to get everything in this incredibly difficult game, you get nothing.
You lose! Good day, sir!
And there's a lot more to collect this time around. Not only do you have to obtain the armor parts, you have to find ride armors, which aren't really anything new, having been in both previous games. But they do help you find other upgrade parts. So you're using upgrades to help you find upgrades that only exist to help you find more upgrades. What the fuck is this, Donkey Kong 64? The armor parts do make the game easier, but not in a fun, organic way. You still have to deal with the bullshit level design and some of the absolute worst music the series has had so far. And music is kind of a big part of Mega Man. So when the composer isn't necessarily bringing their A game, you kind of notice. Mega Man X3 proves a small theory I've had for a number of years now. The difference between a good or bad Mega Man game is very, very small. Much smaller than other franchises, for example. The difference in quality between Sonic Generations and Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is absolutely massive. You could literally drive a truck through it. One's a high-speed thrill ride with amazing level designs, superb controls, and a massive modding community, while the other is a glitchy, buggy mess that even if you remove the glitches, still is not fun to play. Mega Man X3 at its core should be a good game. It technically is just Mega Man X1 Part 3. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels off. It feels like people didn't care. The differences between Mega Man X2 and 3 are so small as to almost require a microscope to really see them. On the surface, Mega Man X3 looks fine. You see it and you just think, more Mega Man. Goody. But play X2 and then this back to back, and you will not only see the difference, but you could probably smell it too. X3 just feels off. This game feels like it was made with spite right down to the very final battle with yet another wireframe model. In X2, this was sick. I would dare say it was radical or mondo cool, as the kids used to say back in my day, when we all had onions on our hips, as was the style at the time. Here, it just feels like they wanted an excuse to push the hardware a little more, and figured, hey, it wowed people once, and yeah, it's impressive to see 16-bit hardware do this kind of stuff. It really wasn't meant to. But we already saw it with X2. Just have a one-phase final boss and be done with it. This isn't Final Fantasy. We don't need a big, epic, multi-phase finale to justify our $90 purchase back in 1996. And, just like this game, this very review was made out of sheer spite. I mean, I don't continue this because I get a lot of views and subscribers. I don't. I feel like I had to make this video because somebody needs to talk about just how sloppy this game is. And it's gotten to the point where this is less a review and more of just a really, really passionate rant. By this point, 16-bit Mega Man X really doesn't give me that much to talk about. How many times can I bring up the Mega Man formula? How many times can I say, oh, yeah, by the way, it's Sigma again? Really, I'm only talking about X3, so I can talk about X3's much hotter cousin, Mega Man X4. So, tune in next time and maybe we'll find out just what we're fighting for.